Our next presenter is Clint Hames. Apart from his political adventures, Clint has been an active member of the arts community for over 50 years. He is an Honorary Life Member of the Chilliwack Players Guild and has served as the Guild's president on many occasions, including today. He has been a part of hundreds of Guild productions since 1971 and worked in almost every capacity. He's also been involved in supporting the creation of the UFV Theatre Department and directed a number of productions for the department. He's also served as the president of the Community Arts Council and Chilliwack Cultural Center. And in 1999, when he was mayor of our fair city, he created the Film Commission, the precursor to the Creative Commission. He had the foresight and vision to do that, which we thank him for. Here he is to present the history of community theater in Chilliwack. Clint.
Thanks so much, Ian. Well, welcome to the, this is my countdown. Welcome to my history of the Chilliwack Players Guild. Now, people might think that community theater is a fairly recent phenomenon, but in fact, it's been active in Chilliwack for over 125 years. You might wonder, how do I know that? Well, I know that because we have a wonderful community newspaper that is that age. And in its first edition in 1891, there was a review of a community theater production and, in fact, an audition notice for the next community theater production. And community theater was valued enough in those days that there were actually two purpose-built facilities in the community to do community theater. Now, following the turn of the century, community theater was booming. Dramatic groups like the Atchlitz Dramatic Society were working out of the Atchlitz Hall, which still exists today. The Carmen Dramatic Society in Sardis was active, and the Chilliwack Dramatic Society, which is the granddaddy of the Chilliwack Players Guild, was doing Gilbert and Sullivan as early as 1910. In these very heady days, Chilliwack had two theaters, the Strand and the Lyric, which later became the Imperial Theatre. Well, where were they? The Strand is where Service Canada is today, and the Imperial Theatre is actually where the Bow and Stern restaurant exists today. There's some amazing and popular plays going on in the day, but Gilbert and Sullivan was really the thing everybody wanted to come and see. You can see pictures here of the Mikado and the Pirates of Penzance, and these were done in these days, in fact, as major fundraisers to build the Chilliwack General Hospital. In the 1920s and the 1930s, though, everybody wanted to see the new thing. Everybody wanted to see moving pictures, and the Strand and the Imperial converted to movies in 1924, and theater struggled until the Depression, interestingly. The Depression came, and people needed an escape, and Chilliwack Little Theatre Association was formed in 1931, and it began filling every community hall and every school gym it could find with productions, and some amazing productions in those days. But of course, the 1930s brought us again to a place in the world, 1939, with the Second World War. And after the World War, in 1946, the Chilliwack Little Theatre Association started up again, and this was their first production post-war, Blythe Spirit, the great Noel Coward comedy. In the years that followed, CHWK Radio played a huge role in populating the Guild. Many of the people that were personalities on the radio also worked doing community theater. And in 1949, the Chilliwack Players Guild was guided by a woman named Kitty Allen Gillings, a CHWK radio personality who'd come from the UK. She was a real dynamo, took the Guild and the community by storm, producing and directing plays for stage and radio. And then in the 1950s, a new face came to town, courtesy of CHWK. Richard Savage brought a new level of professionalism. And in 1962, the Chilliwack Little Theatre became the Chilliwack Players Guild and converted an old industrial property on 4th Avenue to the Charles Lawton Theatre. Chilliwack now had a proper theatre. So began a new era of theatre in Chilliwack. And some of the most memorable productions. Imagine in that day, they were doing productions like Caligula, The Great Sebastians, The Crucible, all in this little theater that sat about 80 people. But community theater draws such a wonderful cross-section of people. The arrow in this picture highlights Norm Groman, who many of you will know from his career on television. But sadly, shortly after this, the Charles Lawton Theatre had to close, And after a few years, however, the Chilliwack Players Guild picked up the mantle again and thrived on. You might remember Frank and Jean Anderson, the doodle art folks, were active members of the Players Guild at that time. And then Ray and Jane Logie came to town in the late 60s, and the Guild began to go back to its musical roots. And throughout the early 70s, Evergreen Hall played host to a series of Broadway productions that you can see here. Ray also created an award-winning theater program at the Chilliwack High School called The Pit. And this kick-started many who continue to be active over 50 years later, and many who went on to theater as a career. And yes, that is yours truly in the center left of that picture, playing a hippie in 1972. But between 1970 and 1984, the Players Guild produced over 50 productions and raised nearly $100,000 in cash and equipment towards a permanent home and a proper theater in Chilliwack. And we were rewarded in partnership with the Community Arts Council in 1985 when we developed the new Community Arts Center. The Players Guild became the resident theater in this center. It was a converted church with seating for 350. Our production of The Man Who Came to Dinners sold out all of our performances, and we sold out many, many other shows in that great facility. And from 1985 to 2008, the Guild produced and performed over 80 productions in the Chilliwack Arts Center. And in 2006, the city, under the leadership of an outstanding mayor, began planning an even bigger and better cultural center. Culture was booming. The Chilliwack Cultural Center, as we all know, opened in 2010 and has been the Chilliwack Players Guild's home since. The Guild remains very active and now shares the space with, I think, 5 other community theater groups and countless other community-based cultural groups. What's wonderful about the Players Guild is that people from every walk of life, people from every background, all genders, all abilities are welcome to take part in our shows. These are 3 that are coming up: Drinking Habits, which is coming up in April, The Gravitational Pull of Bernice Trimble, and a main stage provincial drama festival featuring drama from across the province. But remember, everybody's welcome, even recovering politicians. As you can see, our productions have featured some former politicians in roles, and actually a current politician. Our oldest member is 88 years old, and he's very active. Our youngest is 5. Everyone's welcome to participate. If you'd like to find out more, go to playersguild.ca on the internet, and you can find out all about us. Thank you so much.